Hi guys, the other day I made a video, this one here, playing this guitar. Some of you have asked me what guitar this is and also what's it doing in a jazz guitar alternate picking video. Well, this goes back a long way really to the evolution of the electric guitar. In the old days you go to guitar shops and they were quite dull, a lot of them. Most of the guitars back then were quite ordinary. It was like Gibson Les Pauls, Fender Stratocasters and Fender Telecasters, but generally lots of copies like Hondu and Columbus. But one day Eddie Van Halen came along and he started to change everything in guitar. Probably inadvertently, I doubt if he set out to do this. But I can remember this change and it was a really good feeling, like something new was happening. And things like a eruption back then in the tapping was really new. It's hard to believe now, I know, because we have the internet. But back then it was extremely new, you know. And people will say, well, Eddie Van Halen didn't invent it. It was invented, you know, in the 50s or whatever. But you wouldn't know that back then because you only saw a bit of Van Halen maybe in a video for one of their songs on the television. And in my case, because I was obsessed with guitar, I would buy these American guitar magazines, which were really expensive back then, you know, equivalent to about 20, 25 pounds nowadays, you know, just for a really small magazine. And I'd buy it just for one interview, maybe Eddie Van Halen, or maybe there was just one or two bars of music, because it's the only way you could learn how to do these things back then. There was no other information. Anyway, I can remember the first time I went to the guitar shop and it just felt different even back then, because on the hanger was a Kramer Barreta, a white Eddie Van Halen Kramer Barreta, and it was a Fender Stratocaster body with a Gibson Explorer headstock on it. And I can remember the first time I saw it and I thought, oh, I don't like that. Anyway, I went to the same shop, I think it was a week later, and it was on the wall. There's a couple of them. And the one that I saw the week before, I could afford, and I looked at it and I thought, actually, I really like that. That looks amazing. I was like, whoa, and I was just suddenly blown away by it. And back then, there was a new thing. It was called the Floyd Rose tremolo system. And a lot of people were just buying the tremolos on their own. In fact, a lot of the time, the tremolos were more expensive than the guitar. And a lot of people were fixing these tremolos to their guitars, you know, and generally ruining them. A classic example is the guy from Judas Priest who had these beautiful Les Pauls. And I can remember at the time actually seeing him on the telly with these Les Pauls and these Floyd Rose tremolo systems sort of carved into them. And that's what happened. He bought these Gibson Les Pauls probably in the late 60s, early 70s. They might have been 50s models for all you know. They're probably worth about 30,000, 40,000 quid a go. But he had them all cut out and then put these Floyd Rose tremolos in them. And even he regretted it, which I read in an interview. Because I can remember at the time thinking that was a crazy thing to do. Also, incidentally, back then, these tremolo systems was a very new thing, difficult to understand now. They started putting them in bass guitars. So if you're playing a gig, you'll be playing along like this, and all of a sudden the basses would go boo, and the whole building would shake, and you'd be like, whoa, you know, it's really crazy time because people would just get these things and get carried away with them. But because they were jolly exciting, you know, a tremolo back then, because guitars always went out of tune with the tremolo. So this whole locking thing was, you know, it's really new and extremely exciting. Anyway, I bought the Van Halen Kramer Barreta guitar and I was jolly happy with it. I thought it was a wonderful masterpiece of an instrument. Anyway, one day I was watching this program called The Chart Show, and there was David Coverdale, who's a reworking of Whitesnake basically, and a reworking of Here I Go Again. And it wasn't really something I was particularly into, but the guitarist had this amazing guitar, and it was this one, and it had the reversed headstock, and I was just like obsessed. I just thought, God, I love one of those. Being in England, you wouldn't generally get this sort of thing, and if you did, you know, it's difficult to get hold of. Maybe they have one in the country or something. But I really wanted one of these guitars. I thought they were the most amazing looking instrument. Anyway, being a completely insanely obsessive person, I scoured all the guitar magazines I could, and luckily I found one of these in the magazine. Actually, there was two. There was one in Stevenage and Coda Music, and the other was in Andy's workshop, guitar workshop in London, in Denmark Street. So that weekend I went up to London and I had a look at this guitar, and when I saw it, it was in the window, and I was like, wow! What was amazing about this guitar was that it was a smaller sort of body. It was a smaller body than a Stratocaster. And it had all these amazing things that nowadays would just seem completely normal. I mean, it's a dime a dozen, you can get it anywhere. But back there, this was the first ever reversed headstock of these new Super Strats that I'd ever seen. And so it had the reversed headstock, locking tremolo, these snowflake inlays, 24 frets, 2-octave neck, because most of them, even the Barreta only went up to a D, I think. And it had these, which were called active pickups, and you had to have a battery to make them work, which at the time seemed like the most amazing thing as well. It's like, wow. Locking tremolo, of course. The other thing that this guitar had, what was really unique and really nice now, which is another reason I'm keeping it, but it's got the raised fingerboard. The raised fingerboard makes playing guitar much more comfortable. So if I play up here, it's the same playing down here. I wouldn't say it makes it easier, but it makes it, when you play here, it's the same playing here. It's not like your hands going like that and gradually going down as the neck fretboard goes into the body. So it's very, very comfortable to play. I mean, it's just, this is a very nice, the neck on here is like a classical guitar as well. It's not like one of these bend in the wind thin guitar necks. It's like a classical guitar neck. And back then, all of these things were revolutionary. You know, they're extraordinary. Nowadays, it's just nothing, I know. But that was how amazing the evolution of guitar was. And I can remember a bit later on, I went into Eddie Moore's music in Boscombe, and I looked down on there was a guitar sort of sticking up just like this, and I looked down at it, and it was all green. It had pink pickups, I think, and it had a hand grip in it. Somebody had carved out a hand grip called a monkey grip, apparently, and it was the first ever batch of the Gem 777 guitars, and I loved the body, but I didn't like the headstock on it. But that was the first time that I ever saw the Steve Vai guitars, or anybody had ever seen them. That was when they had just come out. And a week later, they had the other one on the wall with a Tree of Life inlay and the Steve Vai's curtains for the body colour with pink pickups, I think. And this is what happened. All of a sudden, the guitar started to become extremely colourful. And Ibanez, you know, had really understood this. They really, really captured the market. They grabbed it completely because all of the Mike Varney roster were all using these Ibanez guitars, you know. Before they were playing quite ordinary guitars, and now they're playing guitars that are pink with green Tree of Life inlays and, you know, orange pickups and locking tremolos, the Floyd Rose tremolo systems, and all this stuff, 2-octave necks. And it was interesting as well because Ibanez really captured it by making really great brochures. And you see these great big white brochures with these really colourful guitars on the wall. And they had all these players like Paul Gilbert and Steve Vai, Joe Satriani was another one. Tons of these, Vinnie Moore was another one. And the guitar really at that point had really changed, and it was never going back. And that was the difference back then. Because there was all these new guitars, it made you want to practice more and get really, really good at music. This guitar had been in the attic for like 10 years or more, and I was going to sell it along with a few other old guitars that I had. That was the original idea. When I opened the guitar case, I didn't realise what a lovely guitar this was. So I thought, well, actually, I'll keep it. I said to my daughter that she needs to learn a fretted instrument because she plays double bass, which is fretless. I said to her, learn a guitar or just take one and practice on the frets. And she never did. Ever. But I left this on the guitar stand and just walked off because I forgot about it. I was doing something else, and next thing I know, I came back and this was not on the stand. And I'm not joking, she picked this guitar up and she must have been playing it like all around Christmas time. And I was amazed because she started playing things like Hall of the Mountain King, Francis Forever by Mitski, and all of these sorts of tunes, you know, and it was incredible. And she said, what do you think of this, Daddy? And she's just started playing this stuff. And I was amazed. I was like, wow, how'd you pick it up so quick? You know, it's incredible. So that's another reason for keeping this guitar, because it actually started her playing guitar and taking a bit of an interest in it as well, because she played this quite obsessively. It's quite weird when you look back on it. You have these instruments and you think, yeah, I'll just get rid of this and I'll just get rid of that and I'll get rid of this. When you take them out of the case, it's almost like a person. It's almost like a child, another human being. You know, you just think, I can't sell my children. You know, and this guitar is a bit of a part of me, I think, and I hadn't realised it. And it's a bit of part of my life's history, I suppose. And I hadn't realised that, you know. And that's what some of these instruments are sometimes. They are part of our actual life sort of history, our journey through life. And so I'm glad I kept the guitar now, because it is like a part of us. And if we sell it, we're like selling a part of ourselves. That's how it feels. And maybe it's part of just getting older, I don't know. But yes, it's probably the most inappropriate guitar for a jazz guitar video. But it was fun, you know. And that's what you got to do when you make these videos on YouTube. You have to have some fun. Just before I finish this video, I'm in the middle of editing it right now. And I've just watched a YouTube Shorts with Adrian Vandenberg. And he said that the original guitar that he had was a prototype and it was stolen. I hope this isn't the one that he had stolen. I don't think it is. But perhaps they only gave him the one guitar. I would imagine that they would have given him 5 or 6 guitars. But perhaps he only had the one, just the prototype. Because after that, he made the PV Vandenberg guitar, which again was another lovely looking instrument. And I actually saw that one as well, a pink one, when that was first released. I can remember seeing that, and it was at the top. There were all these guitars, and it was sort of in the top of this rack, so you couldn't really get hold of them. You couldn't really see them properly. But I can remember seeing the body and the headstock, which was really, it was a reversed one, but it was really stuck up high, and you could see it sticking out. And I was like, wow. And that was another one, pink guitar back then. It was, you know, maybe seen as a bit over the top now, but at the time that was like really cool, you know, a great looking instrument. Anyway, if this video was of any use to you, please smash the subscribe button, because that keeps the channel going. Smash the like button, because that helps with the algorithm. Click the notification button if you like the video, and write a comment if you want. Or if you've got an old 80s guitar, tell me what it is, because it might be something really exciting, like a Halen Barreta with a reversed headstock or some sort of mad thing like that.